Utah will be adopting national science standards that are worse than what we currently have. The question is why, and what can you do about it? The first problem is that they are national standards. I'm not sure why education bureaucrats believe parents no longer need to have a say in what their kids learn in school, even though they are paying for it. But everything in education is moving away from parents and toward national entities being in charge. 5 years ago, we were promised that Utah would never adopt national science or social studies standards. The creators of the Common Core Math and English standards have created a framework for science standards called the Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS. Of course, when the State Office of Education presented the NGSS standards to a parent committee, they forgot to mention that it was a direct copy and paste of the NGSS. And naturally, they called it a different name, SEED. After a 90-day public comment period and lots of negative feedback on the lack of transparency, the State Board of Education directed the state office to go back and fix the standards. They've moved some things around a bit. Some content that was taught in the 6th grade was moved to the 8th grade, but they are still essentially the Next Generation Science Standards. Oh, and the state office was so sure that these standards would be adopted that last fall, a full 6 months before our elected officials voted on the standards, every district and charter school in the state was given training on the new science standards. The new standards that you and I wouldn't see for another 6 months. You need to know from the outset that there is no evidence that the results of this centralization of educational power will be better. Here are 3 important problems that you need to know. 1. The NGSS have not been pilot tested on real students, so your kids and mine become guinea pigs for these science standards. 2. The Fordham Foundation that traditionally rates standards rated the NGSS a C, while they rated Utah's current science standards a B. Utah's standards are graded clearly superior to the NGSS. Fordham also said, in reality, there is virtually no mathematics, even at the high school level, where it is essential to the learning of physics and chemistry. Rather, the standards seem to assiduously dodge the mathematical demands inherent in the subjects covered. 3. Instead of teaching separate scientific disciplines like chemistry, physics, and biology, we will have integrated science, just like we've done with Common Core Math. This is a bigger problem in science than math because our teachers don't major in general science. They major in biology or chemistry or physics. The best teachers are those who love their subject. As if that wasn't enough to cause concern, here are some additional problems with the standards. Chemistry is lacking in the high school content. Physics is non-existent, as are major portions of life sciences like body systems. Controversial topics are treated as settled science. We are teaching kids that certain areas of science can't be questioned. How do we actually follow the scientific method if there are certain questions that are not allowed to be asked? Body systems and electric circuits take a backseat to climate change and evolution. And currently, Utah's ACT science scores have exceeded the national average. But more importantly, Utah tests 100% of its juniors on the ACT. In every state that tests all their students, Utah's kids have outperformed all those states too. So apparently, according to ACT scores anyway, Utah is already doing a very good job teaching science. Why are we adopting these standards? I wish I knew. It appears we don't want to be left behind the race to, as one reviewer put it, preparing science and technology consumers rather than technology creators. Unless massive amounts of parents comment, this is probably a done deal. However, the reason you should still comment and care is to make sure that the State Office of Education knows we are paying attention, that we, the parents and taxpayers who fund our education system and send our kids to these schools, are the ones they need to be accountable to, not some nameless, faceless bureaucrats or foundations. If we do nothing, they win. What can you do? We currently have another public comment period that ends Monday, November 9th, 2015. Click below to read the standards and to comment. Then share this video with your friends and ask them to do the same.